Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. And it's just Marco here today. Wait, why was I doing a voice just there? Okay, I won't film another one, but that was weird. I don't know why I just did a voice. Maybe that was someone possessing me. I hope not, because that would be pretty scary. I mean, that was kind of like the scene in Casper where Bill Pullman looks in the mirror and then he sees like all these hack actors who gotta do cameos in Casper, like Clint Eastwood. God, that was a weird scene and a weird start to my episode 5 review of Tell Me Your Secrets. This episode is called I Got Here by Myself. Oh my God. This episode was horse shit. This episode was the worst one so far. It was terrible. It was terribly written. It was terribly directed. It was so bad. It was so bad. And let me explain why. I'm going to stop kind of doing recaps of the episodes because, even though I sort of like to do it, because what that does is it sort of reminds me of the different moments so that I can riff on all the different moments. But I think it takes a little too long, and honestly, I'm telling you guys, my Wi-Fi is so slow that when I film 20-minute videos and I upload them, they take hours, and it's painful to sit there and let that happen, and then the result is this review where I'm suffering and I'm torturing myself for 20 minutes talking about this awful show. And it's too bad because I was really hopeful for the show. I really liked some of the ideas, the concepts of it. I love Louisiana. I haven't been there, but I just love it as a setting for movies and TV. And, I love the food, and I love the sexy Louisiana accents, too. We hardly even get that in this show. I mean, we get none of that in this show, basically. It's really unfortunate about that aspect. I watched this movie called Netherworld, made by Full Moon last year, and that movie was just full of Louisiana accents, and it made me like, oh my God, that whole movie was just incredible because of all these accents at once for 2 hours. Like, whoa, I was in heaven watching that movie. And it's weird how we haven't had that this show. It's like this show has just been these really generic people with their generic, boring, vanilla voices, and they all sound the same. I mean, all the people on the show, except for like John, I guess. Other than that, everyone has that boring voice like that. Hey, I am Peter. I am Emma. I am Mary. Like, they all have the same voices. I just realized that this episode. But anyways, let's get into the episode. So, right off the bat, I just want to... I mean, these characters, they really... Oh, I feel a sneeze coming on. So, if I sneeze... Oh, oh my God. There must be a ghost in here possessing me and making me sneeze. What ghost is in here? I don't even want to know at this point, because they probably watched the episode with me and they're just eager to hear my review of it, so they came out to the car to sit in here and listen to my review. And I promise I'll do a good review. Just let me do it, ghosts. If there's any ghosts. Probably not, though. I'm just joking around. But right off the bat, these characters are like playing musical chairs with their mental retardation. Because you have Mary. You have Emma, a.k.a. Karen, and she really is a Karen. And especially after that freak out with her and Peter, where she was like, "Wah!" and she's like tossing the shirt at him, and she's like, yeah. Like she is such a Karen, and it's really weird and bad to have like a Karen as a main character. Gross. And so in this episode, she starts right off the bat being stupid as hell. And she is literally falling for the trap. And she's traveling to Minnesota so that she can, all by herself, we'll talk about that, so that she can see Esther Moses, because she's dead now, because Mary killed her. Because Mary, the great person, the victim, oh, she's a victim of everything. She killed this innocent old woman. But still, strong woman. That's what Mary is. She's a strong woman. Ugh. So Emma goes to Minnesota, and the fact that she leaves Rose, I can understand that, because she was going to Minnesota to go see Esther and also get her daughter back, even though that's also retarded. But, you gotta feel bad for Rose. She was left in the dirt. I was like, aww. And it's like, why would you? It's like, see, Emma has no regard for children. She has no regard for people. She's basically like Carla Homolka. Carla Homolka. Carla Homolka. The bitch who assisted Paul Bernardo in raping and killing women. And then she got out. And then he's still in prison. She's basically like her. But they try to make her likable. And it just shows the fact that, the way that she treats these people, she treated Ethelreda. Ethelreda's dead, and we still don't know what happened. And it's like, that's a big fucking mystery to just leave out there and just not even touch on. Excuse me. And then the fact that she just leaves Rose behind. To me, I thought kind of that it was going to be where she's running away and then Rose's dad would go after her with his goons or something. And I was like, oh shit, Richard Thomas. But no, that didn't happen. Or at least not yet. But still, what a terrible person. I would never want this bitch to have her daughter again. Ever. So that's strike one right there. The main character who we're supposed to feel sorry for. And oh no. F that biatch Emma Karen. F her. I don't like her at all. She's awful. She doesn't like anyone except herself. She's a selfish whore. And she treats people like shit. I mean, what a terrible thing. Once again, she is leaving Rose in the dirt. And it's like, all Rose wants is a friend. Well, we'll get to that later, because that's very... Because this whole episode was kind of gay, to be honest. I mean, it was just really gay. The whole episode, it was like, ugh, gross. The whole episode, just all these different things, these weird choices by the director, these really bizarre writing choices. Ugh. And then you got Mary. She's getting a little upset with John, because John knows her secret, and John, good old boy John's gonna take advantage of that shit. And I can't blame him. I mean, could you blame him? This bitch has been triggering him. She has been triggering him with reminders of his mother, which apparently his mother is a part of why he raped, like her dying at an early age. That was like a part of it, and so I guess that he discovered that in therapy or something, and so she's reminding him of her, which is a very, I told you, it's like Psycho 2, where he's being reminded of his mom and reminded of his victims. That's what it's like. It is exactly like Psycho 2. And in Psycho 2, I rooted for Norman Bates. Are you kidding me? Oh, My voice just got really high just there. I apologize. My voice is still, I guess my voice is still getting deeper and deeper as I get older and older. So I wonder how long that's going to happen. Like, is that going to happen my whole life where I just suddenly I'm like, yeah, I really hope not. But what was I saying? Yeah, Psycho 2. I rooted for Norman Bates. So in this movie, this show, guess who I'm rooting for? John! No shit! Why wouldn't I root for John? Because he's a former rapist and he's trying to redeem himself? And he's taking advantage of this evil biatch? This evil biatch not only forced him to break his parole, which is going to in turn give him temptations. He's around temptation all the time. He's got these trigger points that are really easily triggered for him, I guess. He's got a big problems that he has to deal with, and all of them have been ignored and aggravated by Mary, the selfish corporate whore who, I want Karen. Give me Karen. I want to talk to Karen. Now, John. And so she starts getting pissy with John. And John has this really creepy scene where he basically forces her to chew her gum. Because it's reminding him of his mother. Of his dead fucking mother. And so he forces her to swallow it. And that was kind of creepy. He puts his finger in her mouth. But honestly, I don't really care at this point. She killed someone. She killed an old woman for no reason. And John is just taking advantage of the situation with this evil person. And obviously, I could see an agenda in it too. That's also why I'm still rooting for John. Is because I can see the agenda here. Men bad, women good. Men bad, women good. Men bad, women good. That's literally the whole agenda of this show. Peter. He's so evil. Oh my God. Peter. Oh, he's an evil psychiatrist. And then you got John. Oh, John is evil. He's evil. It's like, men bad, women good. Men bad, women good. That's this whole show. That's this whole fucking show. Even the, Tom. Deputy Tom. He's trash, apparently, because he wants to take things slow. Wah, wah, wah. That's apparently a bad thing. Can't do that. He has to be used, because Emma wanted to use him, because she was having this, hate sex. I don't know. And so Emma fell right into the trap. And then Peter came to her and followed her. And there's all this stuff with that. And then we basically find out that Peter is actually a great guy, just like I suspected. But, who knows? He'll probably turn out to be a rapist or a murderer or something. Because men bad, women good. Now let's get to Richard Thomas. Sorry, I got a frog in my throat. Richard Thomas, all hail Richard Thomas. Rose is very upset. She's like, my Emma ran away, and she make me very sad. And then Richard Thomas comes in the room, and he doesn't even knock. He just struts right in there like Richard Thomas should. And he's like, is my daughter hiding out in her room? I'd like to hide out with her. And she's like, why would you want to hide out, Daddy? And then he's like, I'm gonna use my mind reading powers on you. It's like, that was hilarious. And that's his first scene. And then after that, he gives Rose a birthday party at a restaurant. And he's just sitting there like good old Richard Thomas. And he's like, they know it's not your birthday today, but they also know that you're a special girl. Because of that, what privilege that you got there. And so they're going to give you a birthday whenever I want them to. And she's like, oh, thank you, Daddy. Thank you, Daddy. And then she's eating those ribs. And she's not shy about it either. Rose is not shy. She is just, oh yeah, she's just chewing through those rib meats. And I saw that food on that table. I was like, I wanted to jump through the screen. I was like, forget about Rose. I just want to eat this cake or pie, whatever that was. And the colorful crap over there. And the ribs. Oh, those ribs gotta be scrumptious. Those are Louisiana ribs, baby. And I was like, oh, that's what I want. Some Louisiana ribs. Let's forget about Rose. I want those ribs. I was getting kind of jealous. I was like, okay, Rose, that's enough ribs. And I wanted to steal them from her. Just go, Argh! And then her dad would probably be like, son, you better give those ribs back or I'm going to do something that I don't know yet. Because he's a sinister background character at this point. Who knows what he's capable of. And he reminds me exactly of the bad guy from Your Honor. You know, the crime boss. I can't remember what that guy's name was. But he has that exact same type of feeling. But even more. Like, I would say that if Richard Thomas was in that show as the bad guy, it would have been a lot better, honestly. Like, that's how good Richard Thomas is. He's just so good. I love him in everything that he does. It's such a treat to see him. It was such a nice little present. You know how Cooper from Twin Peaks tells you, give yourself a little present every day, once a day. Oh, I got my present today. It's Richard Thomas and his acting abilities, and then Rose and her Louisiana ribs. There's a fly flying around here. Fuck off, fly. I will harm a fly. No, I won't. I won't harm a fly, I promise. That's a Psycho reference if you guys are millennials and you don't know. I don't know what I am actually, but I was born in 1998, so at the end of it, on the day that Bill Clinton was impeached. That's true, actually. That's factual. So, what was the last thing? Oh, yeah. And then let's get to the gay part, because, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, I'm just saying, like, the vibe that this gave off. Like, just the woke, trash, agenda-filled vibe that this episode gave off. Rose comes to Emma's house, and she sneaks in, and I also gotta say, you know, the way that this episode was shot, particularly that scene where, you know, we see her arriving on her bike and we see her climbing through the window, just the angles and the choices of shots, I could tell that this episode was directed by a woman. And I'm not saying that all women directors are bad, but nowadays they're sort of just forcing female directors in there, even if they're not experienced enough, or even if they're not really passionate about filmmaking, they're just forced in there as these token hires. And I could just tell that a woman directed this episode by the angles and the shots, the way that it's so, like, just devoid of any sexuality or any, just any life. Like, this was such a lifeless episode. I just felt like this outside spectator when I should feel like I'm with these characters. I'm with all three of them. I want to see all three of them succeed. Well, I don't. I don't care about any of them. I like John because John is basically Norman Bates in Psycho 2, but he's also not. They also make him into a bad guy, basically. And they make it to where, like, okay, he's going to be the bad guy this season. Like, fuck you, bitch, who directed this and made John the villain. Fuck off with that shit. You're not going to do that. This is, once again, they are out of touch with their viewers and who the viewers like. So Rose goes into the house, and she has a temper tantrum Well, first, this is really creepy. She's going around her house and, like, fingering the newspaper and, like, fondling the fruit and fondling the food and, like, sniffing the drawers and licking the walls like they're walls in the Willy Wonka chocolate factory that you can lick and it tastes like Emma Snosberry. And looking back now, she probably wants to lick Emma Snosberries. And, and I don't really want to know. I don't want to see that at all. Ew. I already saw that in Fear Street for 3 fucking torturous movies. And then Rose goes into the bedroom and then she starts like brushing her teeth with Emma's toothbrush and she starts like using using Emma's rectal thermometer on herself and like riding her thermometer. Like, it was really, really weird. And then she put the thermometer in her mouth, and then she's like using her mouthwash, and then she's like lying on her bed and like humping the bed. Like, it's really, really strange, these choices that these female directors make. And then she puts on Emma's clothes and she starts like sniffing the clothing, and there's probably a deleted scene where she puts on her panties and then it's like, oh, I feel like a grown Emma now. I feel like good old Emma, my graduate type of love interest. And then she's sleeping on that bed where she was humping it and she was going like, oh yeah, Emma. And she's sleeping on there and then she hears Tom. Uh-oh. Tom comes to the door and Tom slips a little love note underneath the door. And he can clearly see that no one's home. There's just a bike there. And, well, I guess... Wait, does she have a car? I can't really remember, like, if Emma, like, didn't she just walk to work? And okay, well, never mind about that. Okay, that was false. Forget about that part. But, just clearly, like, she's not home, and he just is still acting like she is, just for the stupid suspense of the episode. And then Rose goes into a complete freakout. And, I really loved Rose up to this point. She's really hot, and she's really a good actress. But at this point, she really was just like Tommy Wiseau in The Room times 1,000. Like, I thought that freak out in the jail cell was bad in episode 1. In this episode, I mean, it is fucking ridiculous. She's, like, throwing things and destroying her whole house, and she's going like, there's a lot of just women going in this episode. And like, there was a part where Mary's like, get out of my car, John! Get the fuck out! And then there was this part where Emma was like, Wah! To Peter. Like, she really does not like Peter, so she was like, Wah! And then now we have Rose going, Wah! And then Rose, I mean, this is the funniest part. Rose opens up a drawer and she sees condoms in the drawer, which implies that Emma is a grown adult who has sex with men. And she starts freaking out about that and going, Rah! And it's like, oh my God, that is the gayest, most stupidest thing that I've ever seen. That is ridiculous. That is stupid. Could tell that a woman directed that. That it was clear that a woman directed that part. I give this episode an F+. This episode was fucking garbage. And if that wasn't bad enough, John is basically playing his little game, and he found Emma finally. And so they had this little fake out scene where we think that he's going to kill her cat, and then he doesn't. He just takes the cat's collar. And then he has this part where it's almost like they're just saying John villain, John bad, men bad, women good. But Rose also found the newspaper, so she knows who Emma is now. So basically, what I think is going to happen is she is going to have her dad kill Tom and lynch him, because, racism bad, and modern day racism, we're going to have that agenda thrown in there because she's jealous of Tom being with her. And then we're going to have it where Rose forces Emma to be in a lesbian affair with her, even though she's straight. And we're going to have that cringeworthy shit. That's what I think is going to happen. I'm really... please, Kim Mama, please, can you confirm in the comments that cringeworthy shit will not happen? Because I will... if a female directs it, it's not going to be hot regardless, but it's also just going to be really cringeworthy and awkward. So please confirm that is not what's going to happen, because I really don't want to watch that at all. I don't want to see Rose and Emma having a lesbian affair. I never wanted to see that to begin with. Please. So anyways, I fucking hated this episode. It was terribly written. It had terrible directing, obvious woman directing problems. And it was just a terrible episode. It was horrible. So please like, subscribe, and comment. Tell us what you thought about Tell Me Your Secrets episode 5. I was really disappointed in this episode. It continues to not give me what I want as a viewer. It continues to be out of touch with me as a viewer. So I'm really just upset, honestly. That's my main emotion. Upset. Is that a good thing? Do you want your viewers to be upset when they watch stuff? No. Goodbye, everybody. See you soon for episode 6 review!